The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Hilltopper fans of all ages, welcome back to another esteemed edition of TopperTalk, where we're going to be talking a lot about WKU sports for the next 30 minutes.
Isn't that what we always do?
That's what we always do. It's what the show's about. That's what they bring us on here for, is great sports talk. So,
Yep.
Of course, we're going to do the two-man weave. I'm here with my lovable, huggable friend, Shane Bearden. And we're going to do the two-man weave tonight because Woody White's out. Woody White has a church function he had to attend. So, he...
AKA new puppy.
AKA new puppy. We're still wondering if that's a conspiracy, if he got a new puppy and just didn't want to come to the show, or if he just made up a meeting. Otherwise, if he is actually at a church meeting, he's not like a lot of UK fans who schedule their church worshiping around tip-off. So
Right.
That's a good thing for Woody. So we're going to do the two-man weave, and we're going to talk a lot about basketball because, hey, we're a week into the season. Western Kentucky is 1-1 on the season. And we're going to talk a lot about that. I mean, we got to Wichita State. A week ago, we were here with Ty Rogers, talking about previewing the showdown with Wichita State. Of course, kind of went awry there in the second half with the, 9-0 run by the Shockers, and, it kind of went by the wayside and everything like that.
Yeah, we kind of came out of the locker room, start the second half, how you cannot come out on the road against a top 25 team. But, all in all, I mean, I think it was a fairly good showing, we're down some players right now on the roster. Got some injuries, some guys that won't be eligible till December. But, I thought we played great defense. We couldn't hit shots, which seems to be the theme for both games to start the year.
Yeah, it's a common theme.
But, I thought overall, the Top showed a lot of heart and a lot of effort and played well against a stiff competition in a very hostile environment.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things coming into that was we were talking about it on the show last week, was Brandon Price going to get the start, and he actually did. Yep. So it was kind of a shock for a lot of people for Ray Harper to kind of start a walk-on freshman in that kind of environment. Thought he played really well. I mean, not eye-popping stats or anything like
right.
that.
But he controlled, the game when he was in. I mean, he didn't have a lot of turnovers or anything like that, which is big, for a starting point guard in that type of environment.
Yeah, he had 2 points, 3 assists, and only 2 turnovers. So
right.
not a bad showing for Brandon Price. Like I said, in an environment like that. And of course, it kind of had a little bit of momentum going into halftime. T.J. Price hit that three right before the buzzer. We were only down by 2 points at half. And then, of course, just like you said, Shane, terrible start to the second half, a 9-0 run by Wichita State. And, for a long stretch there, it didn't seem like anybody on Western Kentucky's team wanted to really score except
right.
Alex Rostov. He was probably our savior of not making the game into a 25-plus point game.
Well, another big thing that, the Shockers limited T.J. Price to only 1 point in the second half as well after he had 11 in the first half.
Yeah.
So they did a good job keying in on him defensively. They did a good job on George, keeping him from finishing around the basket. Overall, I mean, they're a great defensive team too, so... it was a tough game, but, I think it was a lot closer than what the final score indicated. I mean, I believe Wichita State scored the final 10 points
I think so.
of the game, so we had come back kind of there and cut it to a 7-point game, and then they kind of closed it out at the free throw line and, with a breakaway dunk with only a few seconds left.
Yeah, everybody was they kind of, like I said, Western kind of sliced in the lead there in the second half. Everybody's like, another Ray Harper miracle. But, it was not to be on the road. Like I said, it's just that's a tough place to play and get a win. Wichita State, always a tough place, like Ty Rogers said last week. I mean, one of the toughest places you can play and probably one of the best atmospheres in college basketball that he's ever played at, too. So.
Well, and then, Western comes home and takes on the East Tennessee State Bucks.
The Buckos.
The Buckos.
That was a terrible shooting night, wasn't it?
That was another terrible shooting night. Western in the first half could not hit the broadside of a barn from three-point range.
This is true.
1 for 13 in the first half for an eye-popping 7.7% from behind the arc.
Yeah, it's not going to make a coach happy right there.
No. But, that's one game where our defense, once again, I thought our defense played well. Luckily, as bad as we were shooting, we held East Tennessee State to shooting just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
So
as bad as we were shooting, at least East Tennessee State matched us and then some on the bad shooting part. So kind of go back to the Wichita State game because, I mean, we've had 2 games so far. George Fant probably had one of his worst offensive performances against Wichita State. 1 of 7 from the field, 2 points.
That he's ever had since he's been on the hill.
Ever. And, does a great job of coming back, and I think he scored 17 points the other night. But obviously, it seems like with George Fant, still some problems finishing around the basket. I know he was up against Clee Anthony early, which is a big dude. He's a big dude. But obviously, that's kind of something you wanted to see from George Fant going into his junior year, is being able to finish around the basket a lot better, using his body, finishing around the basket smoother, getting those like and-one plays that really could be momentum shifters, and it doesn't seem like we've been really getting that from George so far this year.
Well, and even in the East Tennessee game, he finished shooting 5 of 8 from the floor, but those 3 shots he missed, I think 2 of them were pretty much easy gimmies. One, and there was another one that he missed that could have easily been an and-one attempt that he was fouled on, that he was pretty much had a wide open shot 3 feet from the basket and just, completely overshot the rim and hit nothing but the backboard.
Yeah, sounds like a jumper, man.
Yeah, and he still got blocked a couple times too. He's got to learn to go up a little stronger with more power, and not always try to gather himself with that power dribble before he goes up. Sometimes I think he relies on that too much, and I think defenders key in on that, and he ends up getting stripped a lot.
I think a lot of opponents probably key in on that too when they're watching film of Western Kentucky. It's almost like you got tendencies as a player, they're going to kind of key on that. When you do it, they're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, they know every time right before he's about to go up strong that he does that power dribble. So all they have to do is stick their hand in there and strip it.
Trying to be explosive, and you got to give him a lot of credit for that, but also at the same time, you have to be a little bit quicker, finishing around the rim too.
But, if he's going to be explosive, he needs to go up and just posterize somebody instead of trying to go up, get that power dribble and go up and then, just try to bank it in off the backboard, go up and slam it down.
You're asking a lot of George Fant to posterize somebody once per game? Is that your limit? Just once per game?
Just once per game.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, just once per game. That's not asking a lot.
To ask for.
1 dunk per game.
All right, we'll see. But yeah, obviously that's kind of, I guess, something that we're obviously talking about on the show, and I think a lot of people and fans out there have noticed with George as well. Did a great job bouncing back against East Tennessee, but I think down low, we just got done talking about it. He needs to be a little bit more explosive, use his body a little bit better, and not be so readable, I guess, offensively. It's like you said,
right.
He waits and gathers himself. And, that's things he's got to work on, and we were hoping to see some improvement. It's early in the season. We're only 2 games in. And, hopefully we'll see improvement on that aspect. But tell us about, TJ Price, another junior that's going to be relied upon heavily to be our scorer. Obviously has been the last 2 games. How has he been so far? I know he's struggled a little bit shooting. We kind of talked about it before the show.
Yeah, he's still struggling a little bit too. The whole team right now is struggling hitting open shots. That's been a problem the first 2 games.
You can probably say that for a lot of college basketball teams right now.
Yeah, I think you can. But a lot of times early in the season, defense is ahead of the offense. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I think a lot of it has to do with coaches in the off season tend to focus a lot on their defense, especially with, coaches knowing this year that there's going to be all these new foul rules.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them focused on the defensive side of the ball to keep from fouling so much. And sometimes early in the season, your offensive game suffers. But I also think that has a little bit to do with, having basically 3 guards out right now. I think, all the credit in the world to Brandon Price and Peyton Holsey. I think they've played great so far, but they're just freshmen. This is a whole different style of play than what they played in high school, and they're still learning. I think once we get that guard play, once Brandon Harris comes back, and once Trency and Chris Harrison Docks are eligible in December, I think you might see the floor open up a little more, and some of those shots that we've been missing start falling.
Yeah, I think you kind of bring up a good point as far as shooting-wise, and you kind of said it. Defense is a little bit more emphasized, heading into the season, and I think definitely that's true for Ray Harper. And Ray Harper's kind of made it a point, even in talking to the media and everything like that. He wants his team to be very strong defensively, right. And I'm thinking that as long as we're good on defense, that's probably what he's thinking. As long as we're good on defense, we're aggressive, we're creating turnovers, we're doing what we did. Obviously, they did against East Tennessee State. The shooting and everything, that'll come as the season goes. Right. So I think he's kind of relying on that. And obviously...
we have shooters on the roster. We have guys like Caden and Brandon Harris and TJ and even Caspar, that can all hit the outside shot with pretty good efficiency. So I'm not really worried about the shooting right now. That stuff will come And like I said, I think it'll come more as the point guard play, maybe gets with somebody a little more experienced that is experienced running the point at the D1 level. It'll open the floor a little more and start having some easier shots.
I can agree with you on that. We'll talk about, we talk about shooting. What about free throws? We're not shooting free throws very good. What do we got to do, man?
Free throws are free throws. There should be no reason for missing shots at the basket.
A lot of people always say that maybe free throws aren't exactly emphasized in practice. And obviously maybe this is something...
But, you and I have seen Harper's practices. At the end of practice, he has them go to the line and shoot free throws.
Obviously that's not working.
I know, but until they miss or until they make 2 in a row, they have to keep running suicides.
Yeah.
So
I think really there has to be maybe not just an emphasis in practice. I think it needs to go a little bit beyond practice.
I agree. But
I think players really need to, at least one or two of them need to get together and say, hey guys, we need to go shoot free throws, outside of practice. Go shoot up 100, from at 8 o'clock, meet us at the gym. We're going to go put up 100 shots, free throw shots, and just try to work on it that way. I think that's really,
they may very well be doing that, though. I mean, at the end of the game, a lot of times, legs get tired and stuff like that when you're at the line in the heat of a game and going to the free throw line.
And that's when it's most important.
That is when it's most important. They just got to learn to bend their knees and use their body rather than trying to rely, just on their arm strength and hands, because that's how you're going to miss more shots.
A fundamental art that is going by the wayside.
Yep.
Free throw shooting. I guess we just talk about that because we're short white people.
I guess so. Yeah,
with no athleticism. But yeah, I kind of bring it up because it really does pain me to see, and it's not just Western Kentucky. It's a lot of basketball teams you see, especially on the college level, and just struggle with their free throws, and it's really a lost art. And then when you come down to it, you're in a game and it's really tight. You might have a 5-point lead, and they start fouling you to try to extend the game. You need to hit those free throws.
Well, that's kind of what happened against East Tennessee State. Western had pushed their advantage to 17 in the second half. And then East Tennessee State kind of fouled us a bunch of possessions, and Western was going to the line and just missing free throws. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the game, they kept missing free throws, and the Bucks would come down and hit a 3 and cut the lead even closer. So, Western shot 53% from the free throw line that game, 17 of 32. Mm-hmm. That's got to improve. East Tennessee State was 18 of 22 for 81%.
Yeah.
So.
Hooray defense, right?
Yeah.
But
54 fouls called. If
you talk about that.
Yeah, if you're gonna.
What's the new rule and everything like that? And you like you said, 54 fouls called. How much does that affect the flow of the game? These games are going to go on for like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be the norm now. More than likely. Most of these games that you've seen played across the country right now are having fouls. I think there was a game the other night that had 71 fouls called and over 100 free throw shots. That's ridiculous.
Better work on your free throws.
Yeah.
You got a lot of opportunities not in practice to shoot free throws in that game, right?
Right. So if you're shooting it at 53% and the other team's sitting there hitting at 70%, that's going to be a big difference in the game with all those free throws being shot.
Yeah, you think it's obviously... In the beginning of the season, I think the refs are kind of, obviously it's been stressed that they need to call those fouls, obviously like hand check fouls and things like that. I really think it'll get better as the season goes on.
I hope so, because it's not fun basketball to watch when the refs are blowing their whistle every time down the court. And I think that can affect, the offensive play, right now as well, because it's hard for a team to get in a rhythm and get in a groove when every time they come down the floor, there's a whistle being blown.
Especially for Western Kentucky, because Ray Harper wants to make an emphasis to play a little up-tempo and everything like that. And teams that want to play up-tempo, it's going to be hard for them to do it. They keep calling hand-check fouls and everything like that. But I think it'll be one of those things that's emphasized right now, because I think the pressure's on the refs to kind of make that call. But I think it'll kind of cease by the wayside. As the season goes on, I think you might see it called a little bit less.
Well, I hope you're right.
The flow will come back, I hope. Yeah, I think that's what we all hope. But all you Hilltopper fans out there that have been to the games or watched the games on TV, holler at us at TopperTalk TV. Give us your thoughts on the first 2 games of the college basketball season. We'd like to get your thoughts on everything from, George Fant, TJ Price, point guard situation, everything like that. So give us a holler at TopperTalk TV on Twitter for you Twitter-savvy followers out there. And speaking of point guard position, we kind of mentioned it. You got Brandon Price that starts the Wichita State game. You got Peyton Holsey that starts the East Tennessee State game. What do you see from both of those guys so far?
They both bring different elements to the floor. Price he's quick. He's a nuisance on defense. Kind of just, hustle man all over the place.
Yeah.
Peyton Holsey is kind of that all-around guy. He would have had 6 or 7 assists in the first half against East Tennessee if people had made their open shots. He's pretty good at driving the lane and dishing back out. He's good at grabbing rebounds from the guard spot. He could end up being a big-time player. I think he needs to get more confidence with his shot because a lot of times, he had wide-open shots and he would pass it up, and then he would end up throwing.
I was going to say, not a lot of point production from those two, obviously. I mean, Price had 2 points against Wichita State. Holsey didn't have any points against East Tennessee. And you kind of mentioned it was Holsey. I mean, is the point guard position at this point, considering where we're at, with Brandon Harris being out, and hopefully he'll be back pretty soon, but do you think it's a position that needs to score some points? Or do you think
I think we need to score from every position.
Okay.
I mean, you can't keep a defense honest if you only have 4 of your 5 guys out on the court as scoring threats. You need all 5 guys on the court to be a scoring threat.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that's going to create double teams.
It's a more balanced team that way.
Exactly.
But like the other night against East Tennessee, you only had 3 starters score. You had Price, you had Fant score, and then you had Dickerson score. So obviously,
well, fairness to Rostov, he played 8 minutes and recorded 5 fouls.
Hey man, the handshake rule really got him.
There was a couple times he had his hands way up in the air and they were calling handshake fouls on him. And
well, like I said, it's kind of the way of college basketball right now as we see it. So yeah, but obviously didn't get a lot of production from Rostov the other night. But you talked about Ben Lawson, how you were kind of impressed with his play against East Tennessee the other night. Did he do a pretty good job, do you think, stepping in for Rostov?
I think he did pretty good. I mean, he made a few, freshman mistakes here and there, leaving his feet, contesting shots when he shouldn't have left his feet.
Yeah.
But, Harper would get on him a little bit from the sideline, and then, the next play he would come down and, stand tall with his arms up and change the shot and force a missed shot. So I thought he played well. I think he's one that if he makes the same improvements that Rostov made over the course of the season last year, we could end up with a couple twin towers down low between him and Alex.
He's got to put on some pounds.
Yeah, he's got to put on a little weight.
I think they're trying to do that, emphasize that structure for him. But kind of going back to the point guard position, you talk about Holsey. One of the things that I've kind of liked about his play so far is he's 6'5". He's a good rebounder. He had 7 rebounds against Wichita State. I think he had about 6 against East Tennessee. So that's an element he can bring to the point guard position that I think you don't really see a lot of point guards do, just because of his size. 6'5", and he's been obviously shown he has a good nose for rebounding. So that's another element he could add to the point guard position. I think is really good. Obviously,
well, see,
needs to improve
I kind of
shot,
put him in
obviously.
the same mold as Brandon Harris. Brandon Harris is a good rebounding guard.
Yeah,
both of them just have a nose for positioning and where to be on the glass, which I think is, that goes a long way. That goes more than size. If you just have a nose for where to be, you're going to grab more rebounds than somebody that necessarily is bigger than you are.
Yeah, and what do you think? You got the UNC Wilmington coming in here Thursday night. Who's going to be the starting point guard for that game?
I think Halsey will start again.
You think so? Made enough of a good impression?
Unless Harris is healthy, but
I'm saying let's just say Harris is going to be out for this game.
Then I would say Peyton starts.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully, and you talk about it, you got a walk-on freshman, you have a true freshman that you're kind of relying on early. So it's going to be hard for them to kind of, step up and be, point scorers. They're adjusting to a new style in the college game. They're not in high school anymore like they were last year. So, it'll take a little bit of time, but it'll be interesting to see how they play against UNC Wimbledon. Of course, they come in here Thursday night and play. What do you see from that game? Predictions or anything like that? Some predictions.
I don't know what to predict
Seahawks
right now.
A long game, lots of fouls.
Lots of fouls.
Hopefully better shooting.
Hopefully better shooting. If we shoot better, even if we just shoot 40%, I think we win going away by 20 plus.
Yeah.
But if we stay in the 30% and under range, then I look for a close game. But I think if we shoot around 40 to 45%, I think it's a 20-plus point win.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see because obviously you've got 2 games to go off of, and we've talked about the shooting woes and everything like that. You want to see that get better as the games go on. So hopefully against UNC Wilmington, that'll happen. But we'll wait and see. Thursday night at Doodle Arena, so everybody come out there and support the Tops. Another nice, in the middle of a 3-game homestand. You had East Tennessee and then UNC Wilmington, and then another one on Saturday too. So good for those guys. 1-1 on the season. Hopefully a lot more wins to come this season, right?
We got, the schedule coming up is definitely in our favor right now, to get some wins. So take advantage of it while we can.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to move the switcheroo button over to football. We didn't get a chance to talk a lot about football last week, so we had Ty Rogers in the house, so we were talking hoops.
Yeah, we're going to talk basketball with Ty. I'm sorry.
I mean, you got to, man. And plus, you had the Wichita State game that night, so we were pretty hyped up about that. So, football, they're bowl eligible right now.
Yeah.
Had that nice road win against Army. And really, it was a win that they haven't really put together. It was kind of nice to kind of see them put together that kind of win because they had to come from behind and win. So, they had that nice 10-play, 87-yard drive there at the end of the game where, Antonio Andrews scored the winning touchdown. And it was nice to really see him score the winning touchdown because he fumbled the ball early in the quarter and, fumbled it away. So it's good to kind of see him get a little bit of revenge from that mistake that he made. So, and it's good to see Petrino go back to him. So, definitely needed a win like that. We needed to win, period. But to win like that when you're down and you have to put together a drive at the end of the game to pull off the win, that was good to see from Western Kentucky. It shows they're kind of making some progress in the right direction because earlier in the season, might not be something we had a lot of confidence that they could do.
And hopefully having, the week off and having a couple of weeks to, for certain people to get healthy and prepare for Texas State. I'd like to see us just come out and kind of just do our thing and actually dominate a game again and kind of win going away instead of another heart attack Hilltoppers performance.
Well, it's on the road at Texas State, and you could say they're a pretty tough opponent. I mean, they're 6-4 on the season, but like we were kind of talking about before we came on air, all their wins are against teams with losing records.
Right.
And
they haven't beat a team with a winning record yet.
Yeah,
this season.
And they're fresh off a loss to Arkansas State. I think 38-21 was the final score in that one. So, but they play really pretty good defense, but they give up some rushing yards. I mean, obviously that's going to be our bread and butter is to go to Antonio Andrews.
And if Arkansas State can run on them the way they did, then there is no reason Andrews and Allen and the rest of those guys can't
might
do
as
it
well,
too.
right? Yeah, might as well. So. Yeah, it'll be really good. And speaking of the Army game, just kind of going back to that real quick. I mean, Brandon Dowdy was 5 of 6 on that drive for 73 yards. So I mean, he put in a good clutch performance. And Willie McNeil had a breakout game too. He had 6 receptions, over 100 yards, had 2 touchdowns. And he had a big catch there on that last drive. I think it was the 3rd and 8 play. And Dowdy hit him for 24 yards. I mean, that was a big play. He was the go-to guy in that Army game.
Norris on that 3rd and what was it, 3rd and 20? Something.
Yeah.
And Dowdy hit him for 27 yards.
Exactly. So
people stepping up and making plays, and that's what we need.
It's almost like the people that stepped up and made plays were the people we expected to step up and make plays early in the season, and they finally did that. So kudos to them. Obviously, like I said, 6-4 on the season. We're bowl eligible. You want to get these last 2 games and get 8 wins to get that bowl, secure that bowl game and hug it, squeeze it, love it, call it George. It's a Bugs Bunny reference, man. Come on.
Yeah,
go with me. Okay. You're supposed to laugh and.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But anyway, we got.
It was delayed.
We got Tyler Waddell who says, "What do you guys think WKU will play their bowl game? Maybe the Red White Scrimmage Bowl located in Bowling Green." Hope not.
I think, honestly, I think we need to get to 8 wins.
Okay.
To get the bowl game.
I think a lot of people think that as well. I think a lot of people have that perception in their mind that last year you had Middle Tennessee, with that 8 wins, and they were going to Conference USA, and we're in the same position.
Don't.
Everybody's paranoid, man. I'm paranoid.
I'm paranoid, but we got Todd Stewart on our end working the phones. So I guarantee you, Todd's been working the phones for weeks now already.
So. Yeah.
So I think 7 wins is still a possibility, but I like our chances better at 8 wins.
Yeah.
And it's just for comfort, man. Get to 8 wins just for comfort.
Just for creature comfort. All right. Now, but Tyler does say, what do you guys think that WKU will play their bowl game at? So what do you think that they will actually end up?
I think it'll end up at 1 or 2 spots. I think it'll either be
Detroit. Don't say Detroit.
Yeah, I think Detroit is going to be an option, or I think maybe Birmingham or Mobile.
Yeah. The
GoDaddy Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's, of course, everybody's got their bowl predictions. I think Sports Illustrated doesn't have us in bowl predictions yet, but obviously it's too early. I mean, you got 2 games left. There's a lot that can happen, as far as positioning for bowls. And obviously, like you said, if
there's already 65 teams bowl eligible for 70 slots.
Yeah, and
but I think that'll end around 73 or 74, probably being bowl eligible.
Yeah, and but it's like you said, you know, we got Todd Stewart on the phones. He always does a good job. I think he's really going to secure us a bowl position. And hey, if we go back to Detroit, that's fine. I mean, I think. You know, really, if you look at it, even
if a bowl is better than no bowl.
A bowl is better than no bowl, and really, if you look at it, if we win at least one of the last 2 games, we're at 7 wins. If we go to that bowl game and win that game, that's 8 wins, and that's a bowl victory, and that's accomplishments right there. You know, 8 wins, the most in FBS.
And then actually having our head coach in the house in a bowl game.
That helps
for Blizzard Bowl Part 2.
Blizzard Bowl Part 2. Hopefully it will not be Blizzard Bowl Part 2. Hopefully we'll go to the GoDaddy Bowl.
Warm and sunny in Michigan.
We'll be good with that. But, yeah. I think, you talk about 7 wins. Obviously, I think if you get 7 wins, the Petrino name becomes more of a factor, you know, as far as bowl selections and everything like that. Right now, you're sitting at 6 wins. I don't really think it's going to matter.
Right.
If you finish 6-6, the Petrino name doesn't mean anything. But if you get 7 wins, you got the Petrino factor, but obviously you got Antonio Andrews as well. Right. You've got Andrew Jackson, who's considered to be an NFL draft pick.
There's definitely a bunch of storylines there, you know, that definitely play into our favor as far as securing a bowl over. You know, certain teams, you know, Texas State, you know, they're bowl eligible, but, you know, this is their first full year
in the Sun Belt.
Well, this is their first year
FBS, I believe.
Being full FBS and being able to be bowl eligible. And Western fans know how that is, you know, going 7-5 and, you know, being left without a bowl game. But,
yeah, it's happened to us.
You know, because you know, they don't have a history of traveling to bowl games.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, what our big struggle was with securing a bowl.
I think we traveled really well last year.
I thought
Detroit,
we did.
Though. I mean,
comparing to conditions.
Especially when you consider the conditions. So.
We brought, you know, Western brought more fans there than what Middle Tennessee brought, and Western did it with a blizzard going on.
Yeah. So kudos to the fans, and hopefully that, you know, they'll take that into consideration too, you know. And hey, if we go back to Detroit, that's all fine and well. I just hope it's not a blizzard whenever we drive up there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wish for. Even though
you know I got you, though.
Yeah, I know you. If there's a blizzard, I'm riding with Shane because he is the snow beast.
Yep.
Indeed. Well, let's talk. We got a little bit of time left. We got about a minute left, but let's talk about Bobby Rainey, who put up some big numbers yesterday.
162 yards on 30 carries, 2 touchdowns.
Hey, somebody actually is giving him some carries and some playing time.
Yeah, and he also had a receiving touchdown. And in fact, he became the first player in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history to rush for 2 touchdowns and have a receiving touchdown in the same game.
That's great. Now, that's not really a great illustrious history, but hey, we'll take it.
But it's a history. He's in the record books.
He's in the record books.
It doesn't matter how long the record books have been open.
Obviously, you know, the Ravens cut him, went to the Browns. The Browns didn't utilize him because they're the Browns, and they do what the Browns do, and
they give it to 38-year-old Willis McGahee.
Give it to old 38, no knees, Willis McGahee instead of Bobby Rainey. But obviously Rainey's getting some carries. He's obviously saving Greg Schiano. He's saving Greg Schiano's job down there.
Yeah, right now. He's won 2 games in a row since he started getting carries for them.
Everybody on Tampa Bay's team hates Greg Schiano, but Bobby Rainey's saving his job right now. Yep. So what do you think about that? So great to see Bobby Rainey get his just due, we believe, and you know, it just goes to show you, somebody gives him carries and he goes out there and is very productive. So
quick shout out to WKU volleyball taking on the Sun Belt Conference tournament starting this week down in Troy. They take on the Trojans to start things off.
All right, we'll be back next week. Same TopperTalk time, same TopperTalk channel.
Go Tops!
Was this death threat a hoax, or did assassination run in the Booth family? Did this